Hello, Sixties, receiving teachers and students. All right, keep standing. Now, class, what did you learn in your last lesson? Yes, Victoria?
What makes up a calendar?
All right, thank you. You can take your seat. Thank you, Victoria, and receiving student. Now, Sixties, what do you find in a calendar? Helen? What do you find in a calendar?
Months.
All right, thank you. You find months in a calendar. What else can you find in a calendar, receiving student? Yes, Minol?
Days.
We find the days, we find the months. Good. We've got 2 good answers so far. Yes, Carol? What else can you find in a calendar, receiving student? Quiet.
Weeks.
We find the weeks. Very good. Okay. Let's have one from Madhu.
Yeah.
Yes, we find the years in a calendar. All right, thank you. Now, if you have those kinds of answers, receiving student, very good to you as well. Now, we also have some important events that are placed on a calendar which we celebrate annually. Can you give me an example of an event that we celebrate each year or every year? Let's have Milika. Receiving student, please give your answer to your teacher. And teacher, you guide them as they give their answers.
Independence.
All right, Independence Day. Can we have one more? Independence Day is one special event. Give an example of another one. Let's have your name, please. Newman. Let's have Newman.
Remembrance Day.
Very good. Remembrance Day. Now, our calendar is made up of days, as you have named, weeks, months, and years itself. I have an example here. I believe you have all seen a calendar. In a calendar, you also find important dates, like we had an answer from Newman, Remembrance Day, and one from our other student who gave Independence Day. Now, what is the date when Papua New Guinea got independence or gained independence? Yes or? Receiving student? What is the date when Papua New Guinea gained independence?
September 16, 1975.
Excellent. September 16, 1975. So receiving student, if you also got that answer, very good to you. What is the date when you were born into this world? Let's have Alan. Quiet. Yes, Alan? When were you born? Give me the date of birth.
1996.
Just 1996? Do you know the full date?
28 February.
28 February 1996. Very good. Now, let me just explain to you. Now, those are very important dates. 16 September 1975 is one very important date in the history of Papua New Guinea because that is the time when we gained independence. The date when you were born is another very important event or important time in your lifetime because that is your life. Carol, did you hear me? Receiving student? So those are important events that we should record. And sometimes, each year, if you want to celebrate your birthday, you try to record the date on a calendar so you remind your parents to celebrate. All right, thank you very much. That's the end of our recap activity. We will now move on to our topic for today. Our topic for this lesson is on timeline. In our lesson on timeline, we will be looking at how we can record important events on a timeline by correctly using arrows to show the position of which year or which month, which hour correctly on a timeline. Now, before we go on to finding out what a timeline is, receiving teacher, I'd like you to paste the timeline that you have created on the center of the blackboard so that all the students can see, because we will be using that chart in the learning activity. And with the strips of paper where you wrote the important events, I'd like you to distribute those events or strips of paper evenly to each group. Please have your students put in groups as well. So as we call the groups, they will come up and paste the events correctly on the timeline. All right, let's find out what a timeline is. What is a timeline? Okay, a timeline is a number line of events, and it can be horizontal. Now here we have a horizontal timeline which records the important times of a day or things that happen during the day. That is one example. We can also have a timeline which is vertical. Here it is horizontal because the line is running from which two directions? It is running from east to west or from left to right when you're facing it, from your left to the right. This is known as a vertical timeline because the line is running from north to south, south to north, or from the top to the bottom or bottom to the top. That's why it's known as a vertical timeline. We also have a timeline which is on a snaky road, as you can see in our third example. Now you will find that a timeline records the order of events from the past to the present. So you will see here, in this example, we have the horizontal timeline. We have the night time, morning, afternoon, evening, and then it goes back to night. So from the past to the present, and it continues. But this is only for a day. Here we have Snake Road timeline where it has the important events recorded before and since independence. So you will see that from here, can you see this? It's not so clear. From here you will see that the road is moving to the present. So a timeline, and here we have from 1900 to 2010, which is the present. On a timeline, you can also record important events in the future as well. People use timelines for that. Okay. Now, I'd like you to observe carefully as I go through. We will be mainly looking at the vertical timeline today in our learning activity. So receiving students, I'd like you to pay attention as well. You will participate when necessary. Now, on a timeline, there are three main things that you should have on a timeline. Uval, are you listening? We have the title of the timeline. For example, what is the title of this timeline, receiving student? We'll have
Timeline shows dates of important events that took place in PNG.
All right, very good. That is the title of this timeline. That is the first thing you do. The next thing is you must know the time interval. The time interval is between which year in the past to which year in the present. Your timeline must have that time interval. For example, here we have the time interval is from 1900 to what year? 2010. So 1900 up to 2000 is the past, and the present is 2010. Are you clear with that, receiving student? All right, good. Then the next thing you must have on the timeline when drawing is the time length and scale. Time length is when we are trying to scale the number of years against a centimeter ruler. For example, here in drawing this, I used a 100 centimeter ruler, which is also known as a 1 meter ruler. So I used a 100 centimeter ruler to draw this up. Now, watching carefully, from here to there, from 1900 to 1910, this is about 5 centimeters. Receiving student, 6 is, from here, 1900 to 1910 is 5 centimeters. How many years is between that? How many years is that? Samuel, how many years is that from 1900 to 1910? Receiving student, please answer this question to your teacher.
Three years.
It's about 3 years. Very good. Try. Anyone who would like to help Samuel? Yes, Tehila.
5 years.
5 years. Good try. Receiving student, if you got the answer right, very good to you. But if you haven't got the answer correct, good try. Let's have another student. Let's have Joe. Can you see from there?
10 years.
How many years?
10.
Excellent. 10 years. Very good. Let's give him one big clap, receiving student. You also give a big hand to your student who gave the correct answer. So it's about 10 years. How about from 1910 to 1920? How many years is that, Michaeline? Receiving student, from 1910 to 1920, how many years is that? Thank you.
Years.
Very good. 10 years. So how many years is it increasing by? Each bigger scale here. From here to there. Receiving student, how many years is it increasing by? Tyrone.
10 years.
Very good, okay. Well done. It's 10 years. So each time this scale here, from here to there, it's increasing by 10 years as it is moving towards the present years. Now, my next question is, we have also a small scale division there. So here, from here to the next small scale division, how many centimeters is that? Can someone try to work out that? Yes, Moro?
2 centimeters.
2 centimeters. Good try, receiving student. Do you have an answer for that? If you're correct, very good to you. Let's have one from this group. Milika, group 2.
2 years.
2 years, good try. My question is, how many centimeters? Yes, Dulcie. Let's have Dulcie.
1 centimeter.
1 centimeter, very good. You are not calculating the scale correctly. That means that you have a weakness there. You are still confused with the scale. So from here to there, count with me, receiving student and model class. From here to there is about how many centimeters? 1. What about the next small scale division? Next. 3. Next. 4. And then 5 centimeters. So we have from there to there is equal to how many years? How many years would that be? We had someone who gave our answer. How many years would that be? Yes, Manu. How many years would that be? Two years. Very good. It will be 2 years. Okay. Now, do you at least know how to read the scale? Now, where would 1 year be? Where would 1 year be? Receiving teacher, I'd like you to select a student to come up to the front and put a dot where 1 year would be represented on the timeline. Let's have OR in the model class. Watching carefully. Yes, put a dot. Okay. What do you think? Is it correct? Very good. He is correct. So if we were to look for 1 year, it would be between halfway between 1 centimeter. Are you clear with that? And how many millimeters is that? How many millimeters is that? Yes, Newman.
Millimeters.
Excellent. 5 millimeters. Now, receiving teacher, with the strips of papers that you distributed, I'd like you to select a student from the group to come up to the front and use an arrow to label on the timeline when the event took place. We have the example as 16 September 1975. To which group that is holding that strip, I'd like you to come up to the front and label when the event took place on the chart. Who has the event when Papua New Guinea got independence or gained independence? Check your strips of papers. All right, can we have Rodney to come up and place it up on the chart? Receiving student, you also do the same to the chart that your teacher has prepared. Here, you will use the vertical chart. Where would 1975 be, the year 1975? Let's have trust in Rodney. Okay. And where would 1975 be? Class, watching carefully. Receiving student, watching carefully. Put your arrowhead. Put your arrowhead. This one. All right, thank you. All right, this is where group 3 think that 1975 is this scale division. What do you others think? Can we count to confirm? So if this is 1970, what is this next scale division? Yes, Mary-Liz? Yes, receiving student?
1971.
1971, good try. We said that each scale from the smaller scale is about how many years? How many years? From here to there, how many years is that? We said it was 2 years. So if this is 1970, how many years would this be? Yes, Jason?
1972.
Very good. 1972. So can we count from there? 1972. So this one would be 1974, and this would be 1976, and then this would be 19. So is Rodney correct? No, he is not correct. Can someone come and plot where 1975 would be? September 16, 1975. Yes, Jason, quickly. Thank you. Let's check if it's correct. We have 1970, 1972, and then the next scale will be 1974. Remember, it's increasing by 2. And then in the center would be 1975. So is it correct? All right, Rodney, did you see where your mistake is? So please try to improve on that. Now, we'll have 2 representatives each from each group, receiving students. So please go up to the board and paste your events. Hurry up. Okay, thank you. All right, can we just go through that? Now we have, this is 1906. Yes. Is it correct? Let's just count to confirm. 1902, 1904, and 1906. Is it correct? Yes. Now you will see that from 1910, we have, the next one will be 1912, and then we have 1914. Is that arrow correct? Yes? Is it correct? That is the start of the First World War in 1914. Is the person correct? Yes or no, 6s? Yes, the student is correct. So we have, the next one would be 1916, then we have 1918. Is that correct? Yes, it is also correct. So that is when the First World War started. Let's look at the next one. 1939, we have 32, 34, 36, 38, and 39. This is where the arrow should be. Good. He is correct. Then we have 1971 would be between that. So very good to those who participated. Now I have an exercise for you to try in how to draw a timeline. Now I'm going to ask you, since we have now run out of time, I will ask you to do that for homework. Let's just look at that quickly. Below are events on the history of aviation in Papua New Guinea. In your groups, draw a timeline plotting the events. These are the events, but it doesn't have a number line, which you will do in your groups. Receiving teacher, please distribute 3 charts, big charts, cartridge papers. If you don't have that, distribute A3 papers or A4 papers so they can try to draw their timeline. Now, when drawing the timeline, I want you to have the title of the timeline. Then you must know the time interval. Let's look again at this timeline. You must know the time interval from which year in the past to which year in the present. And the time length. You give the scale division. How many centimeters will be equal to how many years? You work that out in your groups. You decide. Activity 2, you answer those questions. In what year did the first aeroplane land in Papua New Guinea? Next one would be, in what year did Papua New Guinea have its first female pilot? Now, 6Cs and receiving students, time has caught up with us, so I will give it to you to do for homework, and we will have group 2 to present their timeline in our next lesson. So put that chart away. You do it in your own time. Our summary for this lesson is: a timeline records order of important events in the past to the present and can be to the future. It can be horizontal or vertical or on a snaky road. Our timeline also has scales that may indicate the times and events that happen during the day, week, month, year, centuries, or decades. Our key phrase for this lesson is time records on a number line. Our next lesson topic is on time schedule. Receiving teacher, I'd like you to prepare your class timetable on a chart, or if you don't have a chart, draw it up on the blackboard, because we will use that in our learning activity in our next lesson. With that, thank you very much, class, for participating in this lesson.